This week on the High Ground podcast, we are going to be diving into the TikTok Star Wars community that kind of brought us all together and, kind of going over the amazing things that can happen with this community. So I'm excited to. We will be getting to that shortly right here on the High Ground podcast. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on the High Ground podcast. I'm really excited because I've been following you guys and popping up in your lives, and I've just such a warm such a warm and friendly voice in this community. It just makes it a better place. So I'm grateful for it. But I want to start by kind of going around the room and having you guys introduce yourselves. So we'll start with who are you, and how did you get into Star Wars, and also what do you want me to call you here, just to be safe. So we'll go to ScreammingNamaste first.
Okay, my name is Marianne. I am Screaming Namaste on TikTok. You can just call me Marianne. That's fine. So how I got into Star Wars, my mom brought me to the movie theater to see the re-release of the original trilogy when they were re-released in the 90s. And I was all in. I was obsessed. I loved the movies. And at the time, there was like not a lot for girls at that time. It wasn't really marketed towards girls, but I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Awesome. I love it. And how about you, Explosivo?
Yeah, I'm ExplosivoSteve on TikTok, but you can just call me Steve. I like that's what I've come to at the end of the day. But my dad was very excited for this new Star Wars movie coming out called The Phantom Menace, and I was so young that I was like, "What's Star Wars?" And he was like, "All right, we're gonna watch all of them right now." So I was happy enough to be like someone in my age group that like knew what they were before the new movies came out, and I was happy enough to say I got to see every single one in the theaters past that, which a lot of people my age can't say that, which is cool.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely know those feels. How about you, Element?
I'll spare everyone the rigmarole that I typically do. Brother showed me a VHS on A New Hope, and of course, as a kid, I was like, lasers, starships, awesome. And then Obi-Wan said, "The Force," as if a million voices cried out and suddenly vanished. And I was like, wait, well, what's going on? And then that was like my first taste of the Force. And then when Empire came out and I met this gentle green, I'm not going to say giant, but I will say a gentle green creature, started speaking in abstraction. And I was like, to my brother, I was like, why does he speak like that? And then he started explaining the Force, and my whole passion for world building and fantasy just exploded from there. And so I dove straight into Star Wars.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it. And again, it's me watching Empire Strikes Back over and over again. But I do like to talk about my introduction into the community was largely due to me starting to jump into the books and stuff, and then that's what got me really talking, because I was kind of pushed out of the fandom when the prequels came out, because believe it or not, they were more toxic towards the prequels than they are now during the sequels. But that's that's a whole side topic. But once we finally moved back away from that, I don't know, it just opened up, and it was just kind of this warm community. And I really hate the sentiment that no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, but I can I can honestly say that the good part of our Star Wars fandom is literally the best part of any fandom, bar none. There's no comparison.
Absolutely. You can see so much hate from the Star Wars fans, but honestly, just the amount of love and friendship that I've made just for the short time I've been on TikTok from Star Wars fans is really, really cool. Like, I've always had a couple of people that I talk to about Star Wars occasionally because it's one of the million things I'm into. But Star Wars is so big for me that when I got on TikTok, it was like, oh, wow, I can talk about this all the time. And it's awesome with people who are also as into it as me, if not more, obviously. So, yeah, I love it.
No, same. It's like, oh, because you can't just gush about this stuff as much as you want to normal people. It has to be special people.
I do. To normal people.
The cashier,
That's okay.
And then they're like, that's nice.
Did you catch the earlier parts of like when I started TikTok? It started very antagonistic because of the very reason you speak of. Like, it was the conversation was very, very negative, and I came out the gate. I was like, throwing out curse words and like George Lucas isn't coming back, and then curse English language, and the reception, largely as Steve talks about, was largely very welcoming, and there was a part of Star Wars TikTok that I knew had a life in it, and so I pivoted to just talking about Star Wars in the way that I enjoyed it all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're about to jump into that. First, I just want to do a lightning round so that we can kind of judge you internally. What is your favorite era of Star Wars, and what's your favorite character? And I'll go to Steve first.
Okay. So era, I love the High Empire era. So the original trilogy is such a nice place for me. But it's really enjoying like anything that came right before our movies started. So like Rebels is like the small amount of time that is spent in Rebels is my absolute favorite of just the Empire is just becoming this absolute dominant force across everything. And I love that era the most out of anything. And did we already say favorite character now? Are we doing that now too?
Oh yeah, favorite character too.
Okay, favorite character as well.
They don't have to be from the same era. But
yeah, so that's the thing. Mine completely changes with the era, but if I'm gonna stick to that original trilogy era, it has to be Han Solo for me. I think I just love his charisma so much. You can tell it's his charisma and his witty humor that I absolutely love so much, and it's the reason why I enjoy Solo, the movie, so much, is because of his I'm sorry, Marianne. It's the reason why I love Solo is his witty humor.
I'm just saying, I could tell because of your roguish charm. There's a mirroring effect there. How about you, Pep?
I will have to say the Age of Rebellion, as they have established it in the new timeline thing, which is Rebels all the way up to Return of the Jedi. My favorite character in that era would be Yoda. But if we're going to, go into New Republic and the sequel trilogy, it would have to be Luke. But of course, everyone knows the top character if we're going into Legends. And I won't speak her name.
You're not gonna invoke Satele? All right, that's fair. I had to.
You did,
but I did it. You didn't do it. So
yeah,
for the first time,
it's less simpy.
It's still simpy, but it's understandable. How about you, Marianne?
Probably the time period in the original trilogy. I just have such nostalgic ties to it, and I think The Mandalorian does that really well. Honestly, that whole time period. So I really enjoy that. And as far as favorite characters, it's hard for me to just pick one. I really like Obi-Wan, Luke, and Rey. Those would probably be like my top three. Leia's very close though.
Okay, and I can see that as well. Which will probably surprise most people, since most of your content is you being Padme.
It's just because there's so much comedic material there. It's not even because I like Padme. Just fully rewriting her personality.
The amount of people who come on your lives and they're like, so your favorite character is Padme, right? And you're like, no.
So people come on my lives, they demand the Padme costume. They're like, why aren't you Padme?
I'm a person. My name is Marianne. Yeah, so personally, I love the prequels. That's kind of my era. It's greatly augmented. I feel like I'm like an anomaly in the fandom because my favorite era is the prequels. Um, but none of the prequel movies are in my top three. And I like Rebels more than I like Clone Wars. But it's like that synergy, right? It's the sum being greater than the parts containing them is kind of why I love it. And just the world building and the lore that comes out of it is just my jam. And my favorite character, I always go back and forth between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Plo Koon. Why do I love Plo Koon so much? Because of Jedi Power Battles for the PlayStation 1. That was my dude. He had an orange lightsaber. It was more yellowish than orange. And he was the hardest person to play as because he was so freaking slow. But that's all I would play because I was like, this guy's awesome. Yeah. So
I remember telling my friend group that I knew the name of the dude who gets shot down in Revenge of the Sith. And I was like, yeah, his name's Plo Koon. And they're like, how do you know that? And I'm like, it's because he's Plo Koon, man. Like, I love him. And then Clone Wars, like, made Plo Koon way cooler. And then everybody, like, I got on TikTok and everybody knows about Plo Koon. And I'm like, I was not as special as I thought I was for knowing something.
What's funny, though, is, like, if you're growing up in the fandom, there's so much stuff that you learn by osmosis. Like, I couldn't tell you where I learned his name because I knew who he was when I played the game, but I don't remember. Was I looking at visual dictionaries or like I don't know, maybe it just.
I have no idea where I learned his name, but I just knew it.
All right, so we'll jump to the community conversation though. Now that I have already judged all of you guys. No, I always try to find the information because I love hearing everyone's different opinions because we're all very unique people. And I love talking to people who have different favorites and different lists than mine. That's the best conversations to have. If you all like exactly the same thing, then there's no conversation. You like this? I like it too. Awesome. What now? I don't know. We already got a little bit from you, Pep, but why don't you go ahead and keep telling us about your journey into joining TikTok and what is unique about it, and also if you have any thoughts on who else we should be following.
Admittedly, I'm the worst person to come to in terms of who you should follow because I don't follow a lot of people either. I'm horrible at that. I get on TikTok and I watch my following feed and then I start creating again. And then when I venture into FYP, I see one of my mutuals and then I go back to the following to see more of their content. So I very rarely find someone new. So I'll have to get back to you on that one. But if you're not following like Save the Ewoks, Fern AMG, Victoria Vader, especially if you're not following Shayla Wren, follow those channels. Sawyerism, Discount Bo-Katan. If you're not follow, just follow all those names that I've said thus far, and I'll keep naming more as they come to me. But I joined like last year. Well, no, I joined in 2019, but only like in an antagonistic goal set or mindset. Because the whole conversation around Star Wars back then was retconning the sequels. The sequels are trash. Rey's not a Skywalker, right? Because I think it was around the time the TROS or TROS came out. So I wanted to just like be super, super aggressive with it and, drop the F-bomb. I was like, you can't chase George Lucas out of the fandom and clamor for him to come back. Fluff off, but I realized that largely that wasn't the way to go, and so I started just talking about Star Wars and answering questions, and the following came, community came, and everyone just started the conversation started to change largely. We still got the negativity here and there, but as the conversation shifted, my focus shifted on TikTok, and so I guess
your focus determines your reality.
Exactly. And as we talk about what's unique about TikTok, it's the plethora of, and you've said this before, differences of opinion, differences in perspective. Star Wars is different for everyone. And so when I look at ultimate rankings, there's absolutely no way any two rankings is going to be the same. And that's what's so lovely about the Star Wars TikTok community, is that if you are largely positive and respectful, everyone is just lovely. When you're sharing a difference of opinion and you're lovely about it, that's a great day. Like, I could say The Last Jedi, Empire is my top 2. And then the next person can say Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones. I'm like, that's pretty unique right there. That's different from mine, but all the power to you. And so when the community as a whole is being positive and lovely to each other,
mm-hmm.
it brings together everything that is unique into one single package that sets everyone apart.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And how about you, Marianne?
I'm sorry, what was the question? I just
that was so beautiful.
No, just about when did you join TikTok? Like, how did that process get started? How did you find the Star Wars community here? And is there anyone else we should be following?
Right. Okay. So I got on TikTok, probably like a lot of people, during the quarantine originally, like back in March. I was just kind of bored, and I watched a lot of TikToks until like December, when I started posting my first few TikToks. And I didn't even intend to make a Star Wars TikTok. I started out talking about the Sound of Music, actually. And yeah, I just did some kind of silly ranking about the Von Trapp kids. I was like, going to be funny to rank the Von Trapp kids, because I'd watched the movie. It usually shows around Christmas time. And then, I don't know, I just made a random TikTok one day about why I liked Rey Skywalker. And Kevin Parker found my TikTok and stitched it. And I got this huge Star Wars following, and I became a Star Wars account. And it really worked out well. The Star Wars community is definitely a lot more vocal than the Sound of Music community.
Nah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started on TikTok, posting about Star Wars. And in real life, I don't have like a lot of people to talk to about Star Wars. So it's really worked out well to meet so many other cool people that like Star Wars also. I've also, in real life, never had people tell me to like go kill myself, or I'm like fat or ugly, like they tell me on TikTok. So, there's pros and cons. The community can be kind of mean. My first week on TikTok, I was told to get back in the kitchen. I didn't know what I was talking about. So, I mean, there's been a lot of negativity, but I've really enjoyed it overall, because I feel like if we're not having these conversations, and if women aren't expressing their opinions, then how does anything, ever change, unless, that becomes the norm to hear that stuff. So, and as far as who people should follow, I would say definitely Kevin Parker. Like I was saying, he kind of gave me my start on TikTok. And another one of our friends that Steve and I have from my lives is Chris, Star Wars lawyer. I would definitely say give him a follow as well.
Yeah, I got to find out today that he does an excellent Mufasa.
He does! I was there for it. That was great.
Isn't he a discount Malik Yoba? Doesn't he? No? Am I alone?
I can't place him, sorry.
Like, maybe?
But I'll also tell you guys I can do a pretty good Pumbaa myself, but I'm not going to do the impression here.
Oh, boy.
That's sad.
Oh, I want to hear it. That's not sad. That sounds amazing.
No, it's sad that he's not doing it.
Oh. I was like, oh, man, I'd love to hear that right now. It is sad that we don't hear it.
But, well, what I would love to hear is from Steve now. Same question. When did you join TikTok, and what that journey was like falling into Star Wars, and meeting your dyad.
Yeah. So I think right towards the end of 2020, I mean, it was just kind of a rough year for so many people. And right towards the end, I found myself at work, just plenty of hours not to do anything. And I had my friends sending me TikTok links, and I hadn't downloaded the app yet. And when I eventually did download the app, I found myself scrolling until I was like, I feel like I could do this, but I don't know what I would talk about. And, you know, one of my biggest fandoms is Star Wars. So I think after making like 2 or 3 videos that, you know, were just about anything, I was like, all right, now, you know, I'll just react to. I think the biggest one that went well was me reacting to the tweet about Hayden Christensen scaring the kids on set by screaming "boo" right before igniting his lightsaber. And it was just a reaction to a tweet. And when I got so much love from the Star Wars community about, you know, that video, I was like, oh my God, like, if people like Star Wars content so much on TikTok, and at that point I was still like, you know, getting basic TikTok on my For You page, I was like, I'm just going to keep doing Star Wars stuff, and maybe I'll find a niche through that. And I definitely did, and I'm really enjoying it. And as I was scrolling, I had already at that point followed a couple of people, you two, Darth and Element. I followed both of you at that point. I followed Kevin Parker, who then made a video about, you need to listen to Marianne, just listen to her, follow her. And I did. And I loved her video. And I think it was on a video, just her talking about how often she's watched the movies. I left a comment that it was literally just me going like, oh my God, can we please be friends? And then immediately she followed me. And now we were mutuals, and I was like, I can't believe that worked. And like literally, I messaged her. I was like, I can't believe that worked. I like, you seem cool. And then it just kind of took out from there. Both of us, I think both of us were pretty low in followers at that point.
Yeah,
so we both had
let's just boost each other's videos and see if we can get like more followers.
Exactly. We were both like, we're going to be on the front lines of like helping each other out, boost our videos. So both of our channels have pretty much grown like side by side. And that's something I've really been enjoying. And then just in the process, we learned like, you know, she joked about like, oh yeah, I was doing Sound of Music TikToks. I was like, I'm a theater major. I was in Sound of Music. I love that musical. And then she would talk about other stuff. And I was like, I love that too. And it's not even, you know, me just say that again.
Around then is when I started going live every night, because I was trying to grow my account. And I was like, I'm going to go live every single day. And I have now for like almost 2 months. But he started coming to my lives because I was getting like horribly harassed every single night. And you and Chris volunteered to moderate because it was just like, it was almost unbearable. It was really bad. And so we just started realizing how much we had in common just by talking in my lives.
And I think it was Chris who was the first one who actually like was like, of course you are. Like, I kept saying we were the same person. That was the comment I kept putting in. I'm like, I swear we're the same person. And then after a while, I think it was Chris who was like, you guys are like a dyad. We were like, that's great.
And then Chris was like, a dyad count. Every time we like said the same thing at the same time or had something in common, he was like keeping track.
And so, yeah, our friendship just flew off from there. And, you know, that's kind of where all that came from. And then, of course, just all these other cool people, you know, you guys know about, you know, this Among Us thing that we're getting going with all the other Star Wars creators. And it's other people that I follow just out of pure interest in their content. And, you know, they're absolutely people I'd say you should follow. Geek Theory is a great one.
Geek Theory is great. He's
I
in the
love
chat
Geek
right
Theory.
now. Yeah.
Oh, is he? Well, hi. Geek Theory, Specific Grievous, Mark, I love his content. Sleepy Savior, he's going heavy on like Rebels top content right now, and I'm all into that. Of course, Chris, Star Wars lawyer, who we talked about because he's, you know, just the other guy who's been super supportive during all of this.
Julia Christine 77.
Julia Christine 77, yes. She actually followed me for the longest time, and I, you know, just was like, oh yeah, she's just another follower. And then after a while, I looked at her content and I was like, oh my God, she's hilarious. So I, you know, because I saw a lot of her funny stuff first and foremost. So yeah, she's absolutely another one that everybody should follow. It's really great the amount of people that I could legitimately call like a friend group now that I have that I did not have 2 months ago. You know what I mean?
Sure,
It's
I
crazy.
know. I'm going live every single night. There's so many like regulars now that come every time. It's like I started going live just to boost my own account, but now I continue to go live because I want to hang out with everybody because I consider everyone there kind of like a real life friend at this point.
At this point, it's like Grant, Amber, and
Sounds
Ven are 3 people who show up that you and me are both like, hey, welcome to the party.
Adrian's pretty regular too.
Adrian, yeah.
Awesome. No, I love it. I mean, I'm kind of the same way where you start following these people, and then because of their regular comments and stuff like that, like it's weird because this doesn't happen on other apps. You know what I mean? Like you don't become friends with YouTube creators, because there's such a greater distance. But yeah, so I joined TikTok back in May. The only reason I even really knew of the app is because of what's his name, Gary Vaynerchuk kept talking about the effectiveness of TikTok as a marketing tool, and I've wanted to learn. I've always been interested in business and marketing and all this stuff, and so the only reason I even considered it was because of him talking about how this is probably a great tool. So I downloaded the app, but mostly this is May of this year, because we got to the end of Clone Wars Season 7, and I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. And so my very first TikTok I made was on May 3rd. And the very first thing that happened was there was a tweet that went viral because someone said, hey, how come R2-D2 didn't just tell Luke who his father was? And people were like, acting like it was like profound. It's a huge plot hole. No one's ever thought of this before. And I was like, R2 wasn't there for any of that stuff. So, and he never ran into Vader. So why would he know? So that was my very first TikTok, was explaining that. My very second TikTok was why Obi-Wan didn't remember R2 in A New Hope. That one got like 500,000 views. It was my second one, which led me to believe things would be a lot easier than they actually are.
That was one of my beginning ones too.
But yeah, no. As I got started, I saw this guy. Hopefully we're at the same orientation on my screen as it is on your screen. But
I was going to say, on me, you just pointed to me, and I'm like, me!
He pointed to me on my screen.
Element, yeah.
It's Element. You guys are just vain. No, I saw what Element was posting, and I was like, this guy's awesome. And so there's 2 main guys, Element 7 and Comb, who's no longer on TikTok. I just follow these guys like, man, this is so freaking cool. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start a podcast and all this stuff. And it was hard to do. My first guest, I had invited, I was also following Budget Jason Statham, who makes political content now, but he was a Star Wars account. And I was talking to him like, oh, okay, I'm going to do a podcast thing, and we're going to talk about the sequels and stuff. And so he's like, okay, yeah, and I'll bring out my little brother on it too. His little brother is a dude named Kev. And so we get ready to record. Budget Jason Statham forgot about it altogether. So it's me and a dude named Kev, and then he's like, let me reach out to someone. And he texted J. Kevin Parker. And he was like, yeah, sure. And he hopped on like within moments. And that was my first episode. And I was like, all right, this community is pretty awesome. Like we can do this.
That was awesome.
That's so amazing.
But they're just, and now all of them, like I consider like actual good and close personal friends. And it's weird how this thing
works. I mean, for me, it was Comb, right? And then so from Comb to me, and then to you, it was just like this triumvirate.
I was nervous messaging Element for the first time, but I was like, okay, I want to do an episode that explains what balance in the Force is, and he's the only person I trust to talk about it with. And so that was the first thing we recorded together. But yeah, then we found out we were a dyad because of just really, really odd things. Like,
the first one was just that episode, right? Because the at the outset it was like, oh, we're probably in disagreement on this point, so it's cool to have this conversation, but we literally just mirrored each other's opinions.
Like, said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
But even since then, it's gotten weirder because, like, you know, we're talking about our favorite Starbucks drinks, and I'm like, okay, this is what you have to try, right? You go with a white chocolate mocha, and then have them add pumps of cinnamon dolce, and it's incredible. And then he's like, oh yeah,
no, I interrupted you. I said, because at that point the dyad was already
established.
Yeah. And so you said white chocolate mocha, and I was like, hold on, don't say anything about cinnamon dolce. And then he's like, pumps of cinnamon dolce.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
And then also just like one of the other ones that jumped out, he was talking about NorCal, and I was like, hey, I was in Roseville, and he was like, what?
Yeah, I grew up in Roseville, super small town.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't, just weird things just kept happening.
And Roseville's not a town you just like in passing mention.
No. It's a deep
It's like
cut.
the odds. Yeah, that's crazy. I love it.
But yeah, it's fun, and that's one of the best things about this has been you know, meeting new friends and like these opportunities we've gotten to collaborate, like just doing this. I have you know, we've been watching the Witcher with like a few Victoria or Organa, with Sawyerism, Bedazzler, you know, and all this stuff, and like just hanging out. Like, it's, I don't know, it's just really cool. But I'm curious on you guys, like what else has it kind of brought for you? I mean, we've kind of mentioned some of it, but I'm curious on your feelings of, you know, just it making new friends and opportunities for collaboration and community. And I can't remember who I started with last time, so I'm going to go to Marianne first.
Yeah, it's definitely been fun to be able to meet so many new friends, especially when it's kind of hard to like hang out with people in person right now. Like, I live in a really high risk COVID type area, so I haven't seen people in person in a while. So it's really nice to be able to hang out with some new people on TikTok. And then, of course, for collaborating, Steve just duetted one of my videos. I had that Fortnite song in my head for like weeks. And then on one of my lives, Steve was like, oh, I'm going to duet it. And then it just became this big joke, and everyone was like, no, you have to. And
it was 100% a joke. It was 100% a joke. But then it was like every live, somebody was going to be like, so when are you duetting Marianne's video? And I was like, I guess soon.
we just wanted to see you in a pink bikini, Steve.
That was all it was. It was just the pink bikini. And you know what? I'm happy I didn't have to go out and buy one. That's all I got to say.
Now I have shocking memories of Choco's OnlyFans video.
Chaco?
Yeah, it's a deep cut. You guys should I'll
expunge from your memories.
How far back do I have to scroll?
I'll tag you guys in it. How's that? How's that? I still get requests for that though. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Steve?
Oh, it's just been fantastic. Just like Marianne said, it's like, first off, and I'm sure many people in like a nerdy community, Star Wars, any fandom really, a lot of people have trouble just making new friends. And I think when this whole Discord for Among Us thing started, now I have like a group chat where I can talk to all these other really cool creators that I legitimately followed just because I was interested in their content. I think TikTok is crazy because the creators are also the viewers, and to have that mutual level is like when Element and Darth followed me, both of you guys, I was like, I've made it. Like, they're friends of mine now.
I remember that. You were like freaking out. You sent me a message. You're like, oh my gosh, guess who followed me?
Yeah, I was legitimately like, oh my God, that has to be a great sign. It was the same way with Kevin Parker. When he followed me, I was like, that's fantastic. I guess I'm doing something right, kind of deal. But now it feels so much more casual with so many creators, big and small, that it's really weird how great of a community it feels with them. And then just like casual and usual fans that you would see, who, it's so funny how they all like the same things and they all like Star Wars. So if I see somebody who comments on my video and I see, they also commented on Chaco's, I'm like, good. We're like, they like all of us, and that's awesome. And it makes me happy to see that like that community is tight, but it's huge. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy how close all of them are, but how many there are. And it's just so crazy to think that that's happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Your thoughts, Pep?
I mean, building off of what Steve said, it still happens to me to this day, no matter how big or small the creator is. If they're following me or if the follow back button is lit up and I'm just finding them, I'm like, oh crap, they follow me. So I follow back, and then we start exchanging messages just like that. And so, so in the internet age, and I'm sure we're all in that kind of range where we got the AOL trial discs. we're all used to the chat rooms, the message boards, and the forums, and forming friend groups and communities around there. This is an entirely different beast because, as Steve said, they're front and center, right? That we see them engaging with their camera, engaging with the viewer.
Right.
So it's not necessarily like they're no longer on the TV. They're not TV stars. They're not walled off in any way. And so you can assume that leaving a comment on their video, some human will read it. And if they're genuine, they will read it. Case in point, Daniel Jose Older, he just joined. Star Wars writer. At no point do you think you're going to talk to like a Star Wars author just casually. So Brandon or Chaco on his video is like, can we interview you? And then Daniel's like, yeah. Okay, that just happened. So like you get to meet new friends. You have such an opportunity for collaboration where the creator is just right there. And they're the ones creating the content because they're holding the phone. It's not like something that's scripted and you see air on like NBC or ABC. What we've built or what we've seen build over the past couple of months in this community is just beautiful. And just with the Among Us server, with our Dyad book club, with, I'm sure, a whole host of other servers that have sprouted up since then, it's just, it's so organic. And I'm starting to, if not have been, see so many names that I recognize now. Every time I swipe to a new video, whether it's from Marianne or Steve or Chaco or Shalo, Victoria, Sawyerism, Hannah. I'm naming off names, mixing in like TikTok aliases and real names. This is how like mixed up it is right now. Any number of videos that I scroll through and I read the comment section, I recognize at least 80% of the names because we're all there. We're all part of this community and we recognize each other and we build each other up. And that is wonderful.
Yeah, it's funny because it always brings me back to quoting the sequels a bunch because one of the big things I was focused on was how there was just a lot of negativity around Star Wars, and especially when I joined, that felt like that's all I saw. I don't see it nearly as often anymore, and certainly it's not popping up on my page as much. Now, granted, it is still very, very much happening. I just mean that there's more of us, right? That they win by making us think we're alone, but there's more of us, and it's really cool because, like I always say, the good people in the community are the best people of any community, and even the what's funny is you don't even see any negative creators that are large in their following, because there's no camaraderie, there's no group. Like they literally are the Sith. Like there's just so many parallels. But yeah, that's how we win, by not by fighting what we hate, but by saving what we love. I'm telling you, like all the sequels quotes just like flow right into this. But yeah, I mean, there are certainly there's a dark side here and the drawbacks. So I actually wanted to kind of talk about that for a little bit of what we see out there, and kind of the harm that it creates. But I also want to frame it around what can we do moving forward to be better, or to help move things forward. Pep.
Yeah. Well, of course, the in the Force itself, it lives in the light side. It lives in equilibrium with the dark, and so we have to expect that to be a thing. And as much as we propel the notion of respect, decency, and being nice, those concepts fall by the wayside in the most weird ways. Sometimes you go through your videos and it's largely positive, and then that one comment comes around and you're like, but why? Like, it takes zero effort to just not be that guy, or not be that person that comments that negative comment.
Why are you like this?
Why?
I ask that question almost daily. At the end of the day, I think I'd like to repurpose a quote from Yoda, and you kind of have to just chalk it down to, they are what we grow beyond, and you must, you must stop yourself from trying to think like they do. Because oftentimes I find myself in a hole trying to understand why they're doing it. And then I tell myself, please don't try to think like they do, lest I become the monster that I swore to fight. But yeah, it definitely has a price to pay when you put yourself out there. And the only thing I will say that we've been saying is that there are more of us, and so don't get bogged down by the one or two comments amidst the sea of positive comments. At some point it will feel like the sea is negative, but do not give up hope. I mean, if you hope is like the sun, if you only believe in it when you see it, then I forget how that quote goes.
You'll may never make it through the night.
Yeah. I'll just say this: be strong, because the strongest stars have hearts of Kyber.
I love it.
Redeemed.
How about you, Marianne? Sounds like you get a lot of things that I don't personally. I have not been told to go back to the kitchen myself.
Yeah,
but...
Marianne, do you ever get hate comments?
Yes. Yesterday alone, I'm not exaggerating, there were thousands, like in the thousands. It was so bad. I actually made one of my videos private just because it was extreme, and people were stitching my videos just to like literally just call me like and like all these things, and they were just personally attacking me. And I block people that come back under different usernames. And I mean, Kevin Parker's made so many videos now just like defending me at this point. And what's crazy is I'm not even saying anything that inflammatory. One of my videos, I was literally wearing like Minnie Mouse ears saying Disney didn't ruin Star Wars. And oh my gosh, I got like a ton of hate. And then in another video, I was saying that I think it's really problematic that when people say, I don't like Rey, but I like Ahsoka. And I just don't think that that's cool to compare women like that, to treat female characters like they're interchangeable. And yeah, that didn't go over well.
I saw that. That was a very well said video.
Thank you. That was the one that I privated temporarily just because it was getting really nasty. And I do feel like there is more good than bad in this community. The problem is just that the bad is louder sometimes. Yeah. And I think it's not just me either. I think a lot of women get the same types of comments. You have your validity as a fan questioned. You're told things like you only watch for Kylo Ren and just things that are just insulting that you wouldn't say to a man. So I think that there's just a little bit extra hate towards female creators. But absolutely, people like Steve and Kevin have been huge supporters when I've been attacked ruthlessly, repeatedly. But, I've definitely met a lot of really good people though, so that definitely keeps me back.
Well, what do you think we can do to be better? How do we move forward from this?
That's the problem, is I don't even feel like it's a problem just within the Star Wars community. I feel like it's kind of at large. It's very easy to criticize outspoken women, things like that. It's just very easy to criticize. So, I do feel like it's a societal issue, but definitely within the Star Wars community, I would say to continue to help amplify other female creators on the app and, help them feel some support so they don't leave when they're attacked.
Absolutely.
Yep.
The path of the Jedi is to choose the light over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
We choose the light because it's the light. Question. Because I have, B Dazzler, awesome creator, and purveyor of amazing Lego Star Wars earrings, is in the chat. She just mentioned how JK will come in and will reply to a lot of the comments. I do that depending on the post, but
yeah, I've seen you do that for a few of mine actually.
I was always curious because I've never actually had the conversation of, is that what you want, or is it like inflammatory for you're now getting blown up with 1 million comments because I'm arguing with some idiot? Is that good or bad or welcome?
For me personally, it's good because I'll try to like defend myself or clarify my point of view, but then 80 other people didn't read anything I just said, and they'll say the same stuff. So sometimes, it's definitely helpful to have other people kind of back me up, for me personally.
Okay. Good to know. I always felt like I have like a symbiotic relationship with J. Kevin Parker. Like, I'm the shield and he's the sword type deal. Like, that's kind of how I feel, but I don't know. How about you, Steve?
Well, kind of jumping off a little thing that Marianne said. I told her the other day about that video about, saying, well, I like, I don't like Rey, but I do like Ahsoka, that whole video. I told her I could make the same exact video, say the same exact words that she said, and not get nearly as much hate as she does.
You kind of did, because we talked
I basically did.
One video you were saying that comparison was bad. You ran it by me. You were like, is this what does this sound good? I was like, yeah. And I think you should throw in the example of how no one talks about male characters like that.
Right.
And you did. And you got a couple people that made comments, but it certainly wasn't on the level that
The one that stood out to me was, what a loon.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the mean comment for me on that video. And I'm just like, and she's telling me all the ones that she's been getting, and I'm just like, God, like, people can suck. So
Now the person that said what a loon, are they an avid bird watcher?
You know what? I should ask them. Hold on. Hold on. No.
I'm just saying, you can never judge.
They really. There could have been a bird. There could have been a literal loon in the building with me. But yeah, so like, I know I don't get nearly as much hate as a lot of other creators do. Especially a lot of my stuff doesn't seem to be as controversial. But when I do say something that people just don't want to agree with, and I just get wave after wave of, I think the one that stood out to me the most was a video I did, basically just talking about how I'm trying to remember the author's name, but whoever did the novelization of Rise of Skywalker essentially said that at the end,
Ray Carlson.
At the end of the book, essentially was said that in the end, the Skywalkers had the ultimate victory because a Palpatine had turned to the light. And I really liked that. I was like, this should make a lot of you people who are so angry about, Rey Skywalker happy. And the amount of comments I got just wanting to fight that mentality. A stitched video about some guy saying like, I'm using the novelization to defend a bad movie. And I'm like, the ending's the same. It's just pointing out, a continuation of it. So when I see more and more hateful things, I always like to think back to kind of what Qui-Gon did in Phantom Menace. Probably one of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite scene of Qui-Gon, of when the ray shields come up in between them all, and Qui-Gon, being the master of the light that he is, decides to sit and meditate on the situation before he strikes, where Darth Maul is pacing and just essentially antsy for a fight. And that's how I feel like most of these people who are leaving comments are. It's so easy to leave something hateful and hurtful because they want an argument.
Exactly. It says way more about them than it does about us, honestly.
Exactly. And I think, kind of thinking back to some of you guys and how you respond to that hate, I don't respond to it a lot, but my favorite videos are the ones, Kevin Parker's and you guys, if you respond to a hateful video, I'm sure beforehand you've sat and you thought and you were like, all right, here's why I'm going to put you down in 15 seconds or less. Very, Jedi. And that's what I think that most people need to do is, if you do even bother with some of these people, you can take the high road and just try to ignore it as much as you can. I mean, fun fact for the haters out there, you can click not interested and you just not see that stuff again, but you commenting actually helps. So thank you.
I know. It does boost our posts.
So, but if you go through the Jedi route and you decide, high road, or I decide to fight, you're going to come off smarter in the end and also kinder. And I think that's what I would like to see more of from just everybody. I mean, we all do it. I think all of us do it pretty well, way more than others. But when I see somebody, I saw a lot of the stitches on Marianne's stuff, and the amount of curses and, horrible terms thrown in there just to fill the dead air while they're just so angry. It's like, clearly you didn't think before you posted this. And most of them get deleted anyway, so.
I know, because Kevin goes after them. Send him some stitches. I mean, there's too many to send him all of them, but the ones I've sent him, he'll get on and just rip them to shreds.
And just to clarify for anybody that's watching, I will engage you in civil discourse. If you leave something like I disagree and you leave opinions that are well thought out, that's not subject for taking down.
Sure.
I usually respond in video format and take down people who are Mike Zero, content pushers, stuff like that.
Aggressively stupid. Yeah. So it's funny because a lot of these times, what I have personally found is that there's a lot of people whose opinions are not their own. There's 5 YouTube videos, between 5 and 7 YouTube videos that they've all seen, and then there's a quote from those videos. So like sometimes you'll see like me responding to a bunch of people, and I'm not actually responding to them. Those are pre-written, saved on my clipboard.
Oh no.
Because they all say the same exact thing, word for word. Word for word. It's crazy. But then again, I have had people where, you know, because all I try to do is just explain things. That's my goal, is because there's a lot of things that are misunderstood, or, you know, because you didn't enjoy something, you were less invested in it, and you paid less attention. That's not a crime. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'll try to explain those points.
And we're defenders for it.
Yes. So I actually, what's funny is because I don't like being labeled as a sequel defender, because I don't consider myself one. And it's only because I'm just explaining something it was in the movie. We all saw it.
Yeah.
You know, I did a post recently where I showed, it was like, out of my last 50 videos, 5 of them involve the sequels at all. It's actually a very small part of my content. And people are like, how come I feel like that's all I ever see from you? I'm like, that's because you don't like it and you keep engaging on those posts. If you if you don't comment on them, like if you comment on them, TikTok is going to think that you love this and they're going to show you more. And you're going to boost me, but you're going to see more of them. And then you're going to comment on those people's, and you're going to boost them.
So thank you.
It's an opposite pyramid scheme. That's like, and it just seems so logical. Of like, if you don't like it, just move on. But no, I just think that in order for us to continue to move forward is, you know, I feel like what we are doing here is perfect for that, and we're connecting and we're growing and showing that we have this growing resistance. And our next goal is to take over YouTube. So Star Wars YouTube, we're coming for you. But the thing I'm most excited for is, if this negativity keeps up, with as many new projects and things that are coming down the pipeline, who's going to be left? It's just going to be us. These people who've been making content but hate everything new are no longer going to have the necessary knowledge, because they haven't been keeping up with things because they hate it. So, you know, I just think we just have to, all we have to do is outlast them, and and we win. At least that's kind of how I see it. But actually, I want to go around and ask, though, because we've been, obviously this is a Star Wars channel, but we all have more interests. So I'm curious, what other fandoms are you guys part of? Like you guys mentioned, you know, musical theater. I used to be in jazz band myself, as a percussionist, so I played the background music for a lot of the musicals. And being on percussion means not only the music but the sound effects too. And that's why Into the Woods constantly plays in my head, because I would have to be the gong at midnight, and then I'd have to run over to the vibraphone and then play the doo-doo-doo of someone running up the stairs, and then I have to run back and sit down so I can start the music of the next part. It's tough, but
I was gonna say, musically, Into the Woods is Sondheim, and that's a really, really tough show. So good on you. That's a hard show.
But actually, yeah, let's start with you, Steve. What other fandoms and interests?
Yeah, so Star Wars is obviously a huge one. It's probably one that I know, it's one that I could say is, more than the average person, which is why I can make content out of it. But I mean, musical theater is kind of a more obvious one with me now. I'm actually planning on making like singing videos eventually, at some point. I'm not sure. But some more like nerd things that I'm into. I am a gamer. I haven't been gaming a lot recently because TikTok has been taking over, but like the big game series that I have to call my own is like Fallout. I don't know if any of you guys have played Fallout, but That is literally like my favorite game series of all time.
You follow Shayla Wren, right?
I think so.
Oh my gosh, that should have been a
That should have been a
yes.
definite. Hold on. Well, so that's the problem. I've followed so many people recently that I'm not sure. Why is Shayla Wren really into Fallout?
Enormous Fallout fan, makes tons of Fallout lore, and
That's
also streams it among other games. So follow Shayla Wren if you're not doing already. I apologize for interrupting. Continue.
You're good. But yeah, like Fallout 3 was like the game that like made me a gamer and got me into a lot of different tastes in music. And I have a Fallout 3 like tattoo because I love that game so much. A lot of other nerdy things. My biggest like random two, I would say, are like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like the movie's obviously fantastic, but after I saw the movie, I read all the comics backwards and forwards, and I've played the game to death. And so I'm a big Scott Pilgrim fan as well. And a weirder one that I don't ever talk about is Yu-Gi-Oh.
Hey man, I used to have
Yeah.
my Battery Man deck, and I'd take you guys to town, but that's a whole...
Don't get me
Go-
started
go
on my
keep going.
X-Sabers, bro. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a big one for me. That was something I occasionally went back to, and they came out with that app, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, where you can play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like virtually now, and that took over my life for probably all of 2020. So, yeah, those are just some of the random fandoms. I have plenty of others, but those are the first things that came to my head.
Awesome. I may have to jot you down to put you in a test group. I have a good friend who has been creating his own game. That's, he was a big Yu-Gi-Oh guy. He was big into 10 Rings, or the... Is it called 10 Rings? I can't remember the name of the other game. But yeah, he's developing his own in order to make up for the weaknesses that he's found in these other games. And it's like based around being in mech suits and stuff like that. So we'll have to...
Super cool.
Yeah, I'll have to hit you up when that comes.
Please.
How about you, Pep? Your other fandoms?
Just all of them, really. The largest ones being, of course, anime. The Elder Scrolls, Lord of the Rings, Witcher. I should just say fantasy. And I was I was into like, Star Trek for a time. I still am. I watch it from here and there, but I'm not like a quote unquote Trekkie. But I enjoy it, Firefly, Orville. Sci-fi fantasy. That's it. Those are all of my my fandoms I'm a part of.
Pep,
sure.
What's your favorite anime? I have to ask. I know that's a really difficult question for big anime fans, but I have to know.
Something that no one has ever seen. It's Zegapane.
I have not seen it.
I'm planning to do a beginner's guide to anime. And it's gonna be different because I know a lot of people start in a place that a lot of people start, but nope. You'll see.
Good, I'm excited.
Oh, and Core Gamer Skills knows it was Legend of the Five Rings, and that is what I was talking about.
5 Rings.
But also, Pep has another channel for K-dramas for him and his brother, right?
Yes. It's called Watching Sundays on YouTube.
So yeah, my wife.
If you're into K-dramas or Asian dramas in particular,
I hear they're amazing. I've been planning to sit down with my wife and watch some of her favorite ones, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I can't wait to start. How about you, Marianne?
Honestly, Star Wars takes up a lot of my time. Just the last several years, I started getting into Marvel, actually. I hadn't really followed it until I think Thor Ragnarok was the first Marvel movie I ever saw. And I got really into it, and I loved Captain Marvel, Black Panther. So I've really been kind of getting into it, and I'm really excited about a lot of the new projects coming up. But yeah, definitely Star Wars is my number one.
Awesome. I love it. And you've been watching WandaVision?
Yes, of course. Of course. I love it. Yeah. Agatha all along slapped so hard. Like,
Quick question: is there a fandom around Reiki?
Oh.
I mean, there is. I used to be on spiritual TikTok. I think before I got into Star Wars TikTok, now all I see is Star Wars. But yeah, I am a Reiki master teacher in real life. I just sort of did it for personal growth and my own interests. But yeah, I'm definitely into that stuff. But like I said, I never see those videos anymore on TikTok. It's all Star Wars and nerd stuff.
But you didn't think that mention that you're a master?
A literal one, too. Like,
the closest thing to being a Jedi in real life, I think.
and Marianne, you have a Rey cosplay, don't you?
I do, but someone told me I have like a trash bag when I wore it in a TikTok. So
Forget Trash Bag Man. Forget about Trash Bag Man.
I know anything Rey is hate, I feel like.
Are we also all across the board fans of the emo fandom back in the day? Can I
Maybe.
name drop like something corporate or Coheed or Thrice or Cartel?
Yeah, we had a whole emo night on my live My Chemical Romance.
Elman, you were there for emo night, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, I think he was. He threw a couple of good song suggestions.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, I popped in. That was another thing that he and I bonded over, because I whipped out the guitar on one of my lives, and I don't remember how it came to emo, because I'm just like tossing some things around, and someone I don't know, we just fell down.
I don't know how it arose. I did start by asking Coheed, and then you started playing Welcome Home. And then I we started naming other things like Anthony Green, Andrew McMahon, Circus Survival, all those old bands.
Yeah, those are good times. Which has also changed into every now and then we'll be in voice chat, and all of a sudden like someone says something and it's like, ah, crap. Well, I guess I have to play some Incubus now.
That's our karaoke night.
But yeah. Also, I just forgot. Aren't you also a photographer, Marianne?
Yeah, I work in film. I'm a filmmaker also, and I'm a professional photographer. Like Steve, I have a background in theater. Worked as a professional actor for about a year. Yeah, so just done many things. Kind of random stuff.
That's freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. For me, I big into Star Wars, as you guys probably have figured out. And but it's funny because a lot of my knowledge comes from reading the books, and once you read all of them, then there's no more. So like people are like, oh, how do you read it? I don't know, but I did, and so now I have to wait. Like, I can only read things once a month now, and it's like it hurts. But beyond that, I am into music. I've been in a few different bands. Pep's heard some of it. And
great.
Just
Great music.
Just a lot of fun. Originally, I was in a ska band. We did ska, and we also did some like No Doubt, Say Fairs covers and stuff like that, which is just a ton of fun. I also was big into board sports. So I snowboarded, skateboarded, wakeboarded, that type of stuff, and then which led into parkour. That was a lot of fun. Gaming. I literally beat someone at Tony Hawk 2 with my feet. Can't explain it, but yeah. No, I was nailing manuals and stuff like that. Yeah, no, I
Now I have to test this dexterity.
Hold on.
Let's play DDR.
Oh.
Okay, as long as it's calibrated properly. I have a problem with,
Of course.
like, you ever go to someone's house and they're playing like Rock Band, but the drums aren't calibrated properly, so they're playing it like a video game. I can't get any notes right because there's too much latency, they just know if I hit this at this time, then it'll pop over there. I'm like, this isn't doing
This isn't how it works. This isn't how drums works.
Why are we offbeat?
No, but I know. I feel like I've had just a weird and fun existence. Like my family, we had a horse ranch for a while. We boarded. We had like 65 horses on there.
Holy crap!
And because of that experience, I now hate horses.
Equestrian.
One time we accidentally we're running like a summer camp for these kids, but and so I'm bringing like a bunch of these kids around the corner. We were also a breeding ranch, and it's an extreme process, and not one that you want to have a bunch of kids walk into, and they're like, "What's happening?" You're like, "Well, anyways, we're just gonna keep going over here. Let's play with some baby horses. Yeah, you want to see some fillies?" Yeah, those are
more recently though for you, Lord of the Rings, Witcher.
Yes, I saw the Lord of the Rings for my very first time. It was a great experience. Yeah, I'd never seen it until last Friday was when we finished it, right? Yeah, I think it was Friday.
No, it was Saturday for after Dyad.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Yeah. It was some good times. But yeah, just a lot of random stuff. Comic books, Marvel, DC, Valiant, all sorts of things.
You say Prince Valiant?
No, Valiant comics. Like Exo Man of War and Ninjak and Bloodspot, those types of guys. Don't see the Bloodspot movie. Actually, it wasn't terrible, but it was very early 90s. Anyways, I love. I always wonder what other people's For You page looks like. You know what I mean? Because we all have such varied interests that like mine is all Star Wars. I got into Midwestern emo TikTok and skateboarding TikTok, and it's like it's awesome. Oh, and food TikTok, of course. I love to cook.
Oh, I was on food TikTok, yeah.
But yeah, I'm always curious what fandoms are, so I can imagine like where the overlap is. Also, I'm on D&D TikTok, although I don't play it, but we will soon, hopefully. That's the goal.
Ooh.
But awesome. All right, so we did get some news today. We got a release date for Bad Batch, and I'm curious on how you guys are feeling about this, how excited, if you're excited, any thoughts, predictions. Bad Batch coming up. Your thoughts on it, Pep?
Well, I mean, I have to say, disclaimer, I wasn't really interested in this going into it because the Bad Batch arc in season 7 was okay. But then again, at the very end of that arc, one of my favorite clones is Crosshair. And so like every time I get the who's your favorite clone, I'm like, well, it's between Rex and Crosshair, and Rex is like the generic answer.
Right.
So I do love Crosshair, and I am interested to see where they go because like with shows in this era, especially ones that have a siloed story because it ends at one point in an area where we know what happens.
Right.
So there's not much to speculate on in terms of like the longevity or the shelf life for these characters. But I'm interested to know, how they went about approaching Order 66. Who saved Grogu? What does Fennec Shand have to do with all of this? And will we see, other survivors of Order 66? Will we see a setup for Cal Kestis? Will we see a setup for Quinlan Voss? Or Yaddle, for the love of God. We still don't have like a canon Yaddle anywhere. She just walked off set.
She was just gone.
Of the clones. And they just couldn't get her back for like her likeness agreements or something. I don't know. But
all she left was a pile of red hair.
Yeah, exactly. And that became Oppo. I'm just kidding. we don't like Bad Batch. To me is going to be the ultimate end of clones, which is a sad sight or a sad thought. But I'm interested now that we have like this narrative around Grogu and his training and his origin. We now have a need to see that paid off in some way, shape, or form. Who saves Grogu? Who trained Grogu? And if we're going to see any kind of closure for any of these other survivors of Order 66, and I'm excited for it. Any predictions?
Yeah.
Quinlan Vos. I think we're going to see Quinlan Vos.
Cool.
I certainly hope so. How about you, Marianne?
So being perfectly honest, I never really got into a lot of the animated shows like Clone Wars, Rebels. The animation just didn't really appeal to me as much as the live action projects. So it's definitely not something that I was like as excited about for stuff like Kenobi and Ahsoka. But Pep, you made a lot of interesting points. I'm kind of interested now after you described it. I've seen like parts of Clone Wars, but I was never like really into it. I'm not as into animation, but maybe I'll give this a shot.
Hey, watch alongs on the server, you know.
Yeah,
You're
we
welcome.
should do that on Discord.
Absolutely. And and to be quite honest, I actually had a lot of trouble getting into the Clone Wars when I first came out too. I saw the Clone Wars movie in theaters. I was not a fan.
I think we all had trouble getting into it at first.
Yeah.
And it's funny because one thing I hear about Rebels is there's people that don't like the art style. But I hated the art style of Clone Wars when it came out. Everything is so tall and skinny and angular that it didn't look realistic to me, and that's like it really bothered me. So it's funny to see that used with Rebels, which actually looks a lot more like people. But
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But the early Clone Wars also just looked horrible. Like I was rewatching some arcs from season 1, and I was just like, really? And then I watched season 7. I'm like, wow.
They really upped their game for the
Yes,
final.
they did.
Like, as the seasons went along. I think by season, I want to say 3 or 4, I started going like, this looks really good.
Season 1 is like PlayStation, and season 7 is like, you know, RTX 2080.
Yeah, it's. And so that's why whenever people say they have a hard time, I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Start with season 2 or start with season 3. Once you finish it, you'll be so invested you'll want to go back and catch it. But also season 3 is when it stopped jumping around as much as far as timeline is concerned.
Yeah.
But Bad Batch thoughts, Steve?
Well, so I know we already have a canon answer to this, but I think more and more people who don't dive into more comics and books, they just want to see like what is the reaction and the reception to clones slowly after after Order 66. And I think just seeing that from a personal level, from the Bad Batch themselves, who always found themselves as the outside, they aren't regs like the rest of the clones, and maybe to see their reaction to how clones are being treated or thought of after Order 66. That's always something that I'm very interested in. I made a video talking about one of my favorite / least favorite arcs in Clone Wars, which was the Zillo Beast arc. And somebody in the comments said like, because I said like, oh yeah, and they were gonna clone the Zillo Beast, which we never heard from again. And then somebody said something like, maybe Bad Batch? And I'm like, oh my god, if they pulled out the Zillo Beast for Bad Batch? Why?
I don't even think about that. Yeah.
Of all things.
I think that's over. I think
I
Kylo killed the last one.
I don't.
That was a different
answers
planet
to
one, though.
Sure.
But are you sure they're not able to travel? I'm just kidding.
That's true.
But like the cloned Zillo Beast, I'm just not interested. But somebody was like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if they brought that back in Bad Batch? And I was like, no, I don't think that at all.
I always liked that the Zillo Beast had like the third arm on its back, and it just made me think of Trogdor.
So crazy.
Muscly arm.
Yeah.
I think I also saw a scene in the trailer for Bad Batch that they were going to like bring to life the panels from Darth Vader 2017 with Palpatine and Masameda doing the whole lightsaber incineration thing. Anything from that comic, if it's in like the Clone Wars fashion, I'm down 150%.
Yeah.
Honestly, and kind of what you said, Element, of like that this is what we're gonna see is the end of clones, and it's also it is essentially a sequel series to Clone Wars, which is in the same animation style. So this really does feel like season 7 felt like an end, but this feels like an ending to clones as an idea almost to what we're gonna see in Star Wars. And it is upsetting, but it's also like but that era, like I said, is like so in my wheelhouse that I'm so ready for it. I don't know. I really loved and rewatching season 7, I loved the Bad Batch arc. I love all of season 7, and I absolutely love that arc because I think every single character is just so interesting in their own right. And then having Echo join the team is just so cool to me. And I think I'm just, after rewatching Clone Wars and knowing that we were going to get a show based around these characters, I'm so in. I'm so ready for it.
Nice.
I think I'm at least in agreement with you on the Martez arc.
Yeah,
Just because it's so much, and I know you haven't read the book yet, but it's just so much like a stand-in for the Lardies, or not, the Lardies, right?
Is that from the Ahsoka book from on Raeda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, you mentioned that in one of my lives, and I was like, I still haven't read the Ahsoka book, and I need to because I love Ahsoka. But yeah, that Martez arc, people really don't like that arc, and I'm just like, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't like what they did, to the characters doing the whole Spice Runner thing again, and there's a whole episode where they essentially start in a prison cell and then end in a prison cell. So I was just kind of like, that episode might not have needed to be there, but overall, I love the characterization of all the characters, and it's some of the best force wielding stuff we see in Clone Wars, because that's the only way Ahsoka can survive right now. And I don't know, I love that arc so much. I just love season 7 and Bad Batch and Martez and everything. So
yeah, I mean that arc, it was less pew pew and more character development for Ahsoka and finding out of her trying to figure out where she fits. Also, I gotta say, her like jumpsuit is adorable in that arc, but that's a whole...
Honestly, she had the jumpsuit the whole time, and I was used to it. And during my rewatch, and then when she showed up in the outfit that everybody now cosplays as from season 7, I was just kind of like, oh man, I kind of miss the jumpsuit, like the mechanic jumpsuit.
Yeah. No, when I saw the Batch arc, I actually didn't enjoy it when I watched it the first time because, and I'm trying to figure out why, because I rewatched it like a few days ago, and I loved it, and I think I just wasn't expecting it, and so I was like, oh no, they're gonna do something big, and they didn't, and we're seeing these new and different people, and I'm like, why though? So. I kind of think that's why, but after seeing the trailer, I am very excited for it, and seeing like the characters. I mean, I personally love tech myself, but that's just like a geek thing. I can't wait to see what the other side of Order 66 looks like. I can't wait to see. Maybe we'll get the Camino Uprising type stuff from Legends going on. We did see in the Vader 2017 run that some of the Purge troopers were clones. We find out in Lords of the Sith that like one of the clones was a royal guard that was with them. So like, how do they get interspersed? I don't think the Bad Batch is going to partake in Order 66, and so they'll end up being on the run from clones, and I'm curious what that looks like. I would love to see, of course they wouldn't do it because people love Delta Squads I do myself, but I want Delta Squad to be the ones hunting down the Bad Batch. I think that would be really cool. Are we going to see the origins of Task Force 99, which is in the Vaders, but there's stormtroopers with a similar, I guess, kind of motif? That's where Sergeant Creel is. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities, but I am excited for it. My body is ready. I need it. I need to be there. That being said, if you weren't excited for it, we do have a ton of other stuff coming down, the pipeline, and I'm curious what has you guys the most excited. We'll go to Marianne first.
Kenobi, for sure. 10 out of 10. I'm so excited for Ewan McGregor coming back.
Any thoughts or predictions or anything specific?
I'm just really excited. I don't even care what they do with it. I'm so excited. It's going to be really good. And I think it's going to be cool, too, to see how they bridge the gap between the trilogies. And Hayden Christensen is coming back, so it'll be really cool to have them, encounter each other again. I'm just very excited.
Same. And it also makes me wonder, because we did see, like, a Ray Park post that he did about him suiting up again. Now, we don't necessarily know what project that is for. That's not said specifically. But what if the Obi-Wan show starts with his last duel with Maul? That's where we start. And then it's him reflecting from that point. That's what I would love to see, personally. And then...
I love that idea so much it hurts. It's so good. Because that's like one of my favorite lightsaber fights is the fight between Obi-Wan and Maul and Rebels. And the idea that they could jump off from that point... I'm here for it.
The only duels that is a duel as well.
Yeah, it's actually like
it's so
pure samurai.
Yeah.
If it starts there, I'm gonna lose it.
Oh yeah, Harris Productions in the chat. And he brings up. You guys see the picture Ewan posted because he's back in the gym.
Obi-Gun's Kenobi.
Oh, it's huge.
The Empire lifts back.
I was like, too bad the robes are gonna cover all this man meat. Like, come on. I was like, why are you
said
bothering?
that you would lift the Sith.
Swole,
do you even?
Swolby-Wan.
65. 60. That was bad.
But there also, I mean, I saw that the actor that did the voice for Duchess Satine was supposed to be on the show. And she actually looks like Satine. Are we going to get some Obi Satine material?
I feel like there could be a lot of flashback stuff. Like, I don't know how much they're going to do, but honestly, any sort of relation that Obi-Wan could have with some of his past encounters, like, I'm excited to see Hayden Christensen play Darth Vader, but I kind of want to see his face on screen again, Like, so I want to see how they could work around all that. And that could be with Satine as well,
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, what are you excited for, Steve, that's coming up?
Oh my God, everything. But I think Kenobi's probably at the top of my list. But honestly, after that season finale of Mandalorian, everybody wants to know, like, what is possibly going to happen now. And God, I think about the Mandalorian season 2 finale pretty often. Because of how crazy it was and sad. And all I'm thinking is, like, how did, there's got to be some sort of time skip. That's what I'm thinking, like, between season 2 and season 3. Just because I feel like it needs to feel like a real return to, Grogu. Because Grogu's like the face of the show at this point. Literally, we don't see Pedro Pascal ever. We don't see Din. We see Grogu. So he's got to come back at some point. So I'm hoping there's a time jump. So then he gets some time with Luke that we just maybe don't see. But then also...
Ahsoka left for a season.
Say that again?
Ahsoka left for a season.
Exactly. So they could, keep Grogu out of it for a while. It would break my heart. But then also, they could completely open the show with, all right, now we got to deal with this little thing called the Darksaber. And that's just a whole other mess of problems now. So I think maybe Mandalorian, like other than Kenobi, I think Mando season 3's got to be at the top of my list just because I got to know what they're going to do from here, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. How about you, Element?
I'm excited for Kenobi as always, just because, you know, the prospect of seeing any kind of flashback with them in their Clone Wars attire in live action. The prospect of seeing a live action Satine. The prospect of seeing a live action Corky Kenobi. The prospect of just the rematch of the century. And then, you know, Ahsoka is, I think I'm the most excited for Ahsoka just because I'm a lore person. And the possibilities are endless for what they can explore with Ahsoka. And then Acolyte. Because, you know, barring all of the Legends material, canon is sorely lacking in dark side lore. And Sith mythos. So Acolyte serves as that vessel for the dark side, and we will get it. Who is it about? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want them to canonize Talon in that way, but the timing also lines up with like Tenebris and Plagueis, but it's female led. So I'm just like, are they going to gender bend Tenebris, or are they just going to adapt like Talon and insert that character in that timeline? And of course, Visions, anime fan. Visions serves as 25,000 years of history. Let's see what they do with that. I would love an anime project by Madhouse or Studio Bones about the dawn of the Jedi, and that would be cake. And then icing would be another anime about Satil Shan. I mean, to canonize her through anime style. Sorry.
No, that would be amazing. Unsurprisingly, those are the things I'm most excited for as well. Just as you know, like I said, a big lore fan, especially Force lore. I gotta know what happens in Acolyte. We're gonna watch, I don't know, this woman's journey down the dark side. And the director said it was going to be kind of Indiana Jones like, where it's going from place to place and these adventures. And so, like, man, I don't know, that sounds interesting, finding weird artifacts and all this stuff. And it makes me think of Darth Bane once he was traveling and finding these holocrons and like Darth Undeadu's tomb and all this cool stuff. And then through that, they can canonize a lot of really cool Old Republic stuff as well. Also, I've been loving the High Republic, and the fact that this takes place at the tail end of the High Republic also means it's going to tie in with all these books and things that we've been getting lately. So, man, I don't know, that's going to be super cool. Ahsoka, I'm super excited for, but mostly because of the background.
Yes.
I saw the Ahsoka logo, and I love the character, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But the background is the Vergence scatter, and you're like, why is that there? What does this mean? Like, I must know. It's gonna get weird, and I think Star Wars is at its best when it's weird.
And it's gonna be our best chance to find out if Ahsoka found out about Anakin, if they talked. You know, after Return of the Jedi, he like appeared to her, and she was just like, eating some ramen, and then he shows up, and she's like, "Where did you come from?" Like,
oh, hey, Master! Remember
Luke got
Mortis?
to me.
That was fun. Let's talk about that.
And if she meets Luke,
yeah, I really like that.
Yeah. Man, there's so much awesome stuff that show can do. And again, you had mentioned Visions, being an anime fan as well. I want an anime styled backstory for General Grievous. I think that could be like super cool looking. Like, I don't even care about his background, but if it's an anime style, then like I need it. But Patty Jenkins doing Rogue Squadron. I'm super excited for that. I mean, I'm just really living off of the fact that she's the daughter of a fighter pilot doing a show on fighter pilots in Star Wars. Like, she has to know what it's like when they are, when her dad leaves home to go do like these missions. Right. And like, I'm sure she's heard stories from him. And I want this to change Star Wars for me, where I rewatch Return of the Jedi and now I can put myself in the position of these faceless X-Wing pilots, but now you know what they're fighting for, what they left at home, what things are like for them, and it matters that much more. You know what I mean? Like, I want to cry when Porkins dies. I don't want to. I don't want to laugh anymore.
Not so much for Porkins, but I'll give that to you.
But her
Justice
just saying.
Go ahead.
Her just saying that she always wanted to do like a fighter kind of film, like a dogfight kind of movie or anything, and she never got the chance. Is like, but now her getting the chance to do something like that in Star Wars is just like, she's had to have had billions of ideas for her entire life with this kind of genre. So the idea that we're gonna get that, and it's gonna be pew pew lasers in space.
Yep.
I'm excited for that.
I also think that it's post The Rise of Skywalker, because the synopsis, what I'm talking about, Brendan, when I say the future. But in the Chaos Walking, during her press junket for Chaos Walking, Daisy Ridley was asked if her story with Rey was over, and we all know her answers before today. She's like, she's done. That story's over. Recently, her tune has changed. She says, "You never know, never say never." And I'm just like, you have absolutely no reason to say it like that now. You said you were done before. What's going on?
There's a dump truck full of money. That's what's going on.
I would love to see more of Rey. She's one of my favorite characters. I would love to see a continuation after the Rise of Skywalker, see like what happens next.
Especially if this like Rogue Squadron is in that era and she just like makes a cameo or just like an appearance. That would be awesome.
But I'm over here like, yellow lightsaber, more please. Like,
show
me more colors in live action.
No, but she needs to know that people love her. People love Rey, and they need more of her.
Yeah. Core Gamer Scale says, petition to cast Nick Cage as Rael Averross. Which I could use some Nicolas Cage in Star Wars. All right. So final question. You have the green light button, right? You can green light any Star Wars project. Kathleen Kennedy can't say no. It's going to happen no matter what. What project are you going to green light? And Element, you cannot say one that you have said before.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we are going to go to... I can't remember who I started with. I started with Marianne last time. So, Steve.
It's so funny because I actually stitched a video of Marianne's with her talking about like what we would like to see with the sequel characters past this. Certain ones we know, we might not get back. We're just now getting more, interesting ideas with Daisy Ridley coming back as Rey. But of course, me being an absolute, super fan of Han, I was also a real big fan of Poe, even though he got like nothing to do past Force Awakens and yelling in The Last Jedi. So I love Poe and his charisma, and I think the idea that we're getting a show like Andor coming soon, I'm like, I would like to see more of that, like that like that wartime struggle, but with Poe. Like, I want to see what Poe was doing before they met up with Finn and all of them. I think I just said, like, I want to see the Poe show. But there's plenty of other sequel characters that I'd love to see and build off of. But for some reason, Poe was the one that I was like, I think I just want to laugh more at how great he is. Like, I know people really don't like that opening to The Last Jedi with him essentially doing a crank call to the First Order, but I love that so much. I really do.
I feel like the same people who hate that scene love Anakin doing the same exact fake surrender in season 7 of Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that too. And like, I love the idea of them, I love the idea of like,
it's a war crime, but yeah.
I just like the idea of like plucky, like, this is how we're going to get out of the situation because the odds are completely against us. And the charismatic, drive and humor that comes from that is absolutely, I would love to see an entire show of that,
Yeah, absolutely. Also, if you're in the neighborhood for books, Poe Dameron Free Fall, I think you would enjoy, because that does explain, because Poe's parents were war heroes. His mom was a wiring pirate, and his dad was a soldier. And this picks up with him and his dad, and it's his adventure of when he met Zori, and it's like his entire spice running story all encapsulated in that book. But yeah, I mean,
I like that.
You want
Shar was in the rebellion as well.
Yes, yeah. Shar Bay, she's just not in the book.
Right.
but yeah. And how about you, Pep?
Just a small little shout out project. I'll do a show playing Rael Averos, and my only line will be Master Dooku. That's it.
That's it.
Con Air.
Oh, no.
The project probably would be set in the High Republic, and it follows Orla Jareni, and it's named Wayseeker. And it's just about her going around studying the ways of the Force, finding herself, finding her connection to it, and just honing her abilities as Canon's version of I'm not going to say it, never mind. I will not give them ammo. Independent Jedi, someone that isn't beholden to the Council. And I think it would do a great job of painting that concept away, or erasing that concept from existence. I think we need to see more Jedi because I don't know where people get the concept that the Jedi is like, the Jedi Council or the Jedi Order is some like machine. Because if you search your memory banks, no one has ever been expelled from the Order. No one. Not for attachment, not for, vain reasons. They've all left. I think we have the Lost 20, and then Ahsoka. We have Dooku, but we need something that casts, not necessarily in a good light, casts the Jedi Order in a new light, that they're not there to control people. You can leave whenever you want. And for a lot of people, disobeying the Council is like tantamount to murder. But Qui-Gon Jinn openly disobeyed the Council in the first movie.
Yeah.
And no one batted an eyelash. He's like, he's too old, you cannot train him. And then Qui-Gon's like, I'm gonna train him.
and
So
And then we have Obi-Wan going, please don't, disobey them. Not again. And I'm like, again?
Yeah.
Qui-Gon.
So definitely Wayseeker. Just Orla going around town, not around town, going from planet to planet, finding the Force.
Making my way downtown.
Just finding her connection and showing the independent Jedi.
Yeah. No, I would love that. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I was just laughing at Element going like, I'm not gonna give them ammo. Independent Jedi, and I'm like, great name. I love that so much.
I mean, there is what I found is that there's just a lot of people that have a complicated relationship with organized religion, and that gets transposed over the Jedi, and people feel like that's. So there's a lot of things that have never been stated. They've actually never been a part of Star Wars, but it's just assumed. Like, the Jedi were never required to be celibate. It's never been a thing, ever.
No.
A lot of people believe it. Why? I don't know. I don't know where it came from. But, yeah, I would love to see that as well. All right, we're coming to you, Marianne. You get to greenlight any project.
So, as I said, I would want to see more of Rey, but honestly, like, if I could pick anything, I would love a young Luke and Leia show. I would love to see Leia, her Jedi journey. I would love to see more of that. That was one of my favorite parts of Rise of Skywalker, just seeing her train with Luke and then her training Rey. So I would love to see more of that, and how that happened, and her being Force sensitive. And I know that would be difficult to do just because of, Carrie Fisher passing away. So I don't know if it would have to be like an animation or something like that, but I would love to see more of that, more of Jedi Leia for sure.
You can always wait for Millie Bobby Brown to get older. She looks like her.
I mean, people have been fan casting that, and we now know that that's legitimately how why is her name escaping me? How Ahsoka got cast.
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson got cast because of the fan casting. Like, Boss Logic made the Photoshop picture, sent it to her, and she's like, yeah, let's do that. And everyone's like, yeah, we're on board. And then Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni call her up like, I guess you're hired or whatever.
I guess you've got the job.
I've done some refaces with Millie Bobby Brown on top of Leia, and it's just there. Yeah. I think if they do like a Queen's Leia Princess of Alderaan,
great
she
book.
Could do it right there. And then when she gets older, she can do post Return of the Jedi with Sebastian Stan, maybe, or not, maybe a little bit too much of a gap between them, but she could play Leia. That's a great show as well, because she stopped at the end of her Jedi path. So there's a lot of training there that needs to go down.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like in the original trilogy, she was so like cut out of the Skywalker family drama, I guess. She was really brought into the fold. So I would just love to see more of that, her coming to that, to accept that Vader was her father and that she's Force sensitive, and just bringing her more into the fold with Luke. I would love to see more of that.
Yeah, that would be great. Connor in the chat talks about if they did a Stormtrooper style, like, Modern Family.
I will say those two stormtroopers in the season finale of season 1 of Mandalorian, the two that were like, one beating up Grogu and two trying to shoot a can and they couldn't. Like, their banter alone was like, they could make a show off of this, right? Like, this could be it. This could be a show. It's just stormtroopers being horrible.
Just looking into the camera. I wake up every morning trying to shoot that can. I just can't. I don't know what's going on with me.
Connor said Modern Family, but like an Office style, like the pure like cut to the camera kind of deal. Like, I'm not like a diehard Office fan like a lot of people are.
I am,
but I think the style is there.
I would
just
love to see that.
face.
the Halpert face, but like from a stormtrooper who just took off his helmet, just kind of like.
He has to take off his helmet to do it. Like.
Well, yeah, it's like he's aware that that's what we're doing.
Kylo's having a tantrum in the other room.
Oh my god! The show is actually just a series of different like events with different types of stormtroopers from different eras. It could be clone troopers as well, but really we see what happened to those two stormtroopers the moment they turned around in Force Awakens and walked the other way when Kylo's throwing a tantrum, and we just see their reaction of like, he's doing this again, man. Like, I can't believe it. That's like the 4th torture chair this month.
Rex in the confessional. You know, Anakin's been in that room for a while. He thinks no one can hear Padme. We all do.
We all hear it. That's actually why Obi-Wan knows. He's like, just hears it through the wall. It's like, is that Padme?
That's Order 69.
Oh. Look up my headphones for that one.
No, so I also want a comedy. I have mentioned this one, but I need a comedy set in Dex's Diner, and it's like Cheers, but it's Dex's Diner, and we have these random people, these random bounty hunters and stuff that come. It's almost like there's a board game we used to play called the Red Dragon Inn, and it's like the tavern that all the adventurers from fantasy books come to after their adventures. And like, you know, you have these people talking about these crazy adventures, these pirates or whatever, and maybe that's how Dex knows all this stuff, because he has experience with all these super weird, like, esoteric, like, groups of people.
Stories you hear kind of deal.
Yeah. Either that or we need to have a straight up pirate movie in Star Wars, and you know, have it just space pirates roaming around trying to do their thing. Obviously Hondo Naka's there, but Maz Kanata used to be a pirate queen, we know that, and we know that there's all these interesting like groups of spice runners and like different huts that are running things, and there's smugglers, and it's just a pirate gang just trying to like survive, you know. Maybe they're all, I don't know, some of them are ex-Imperial who are like just trying to make a living, but everyone hates them because they were part of the Empire, and this is all they can do.
Ex-Shadow Collective.
Yeah. I know.
And Maul could show up.
But yeah, those are my thoughts. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to like hang out and talk to you guys. Let's just do one last go around and let us know if you have any final thoughts, you know, on Star Wars, on community, on TikTok, on life, on anything. But also let us know where we can find you and your material. We will go to Marianne first.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun. You can find me on TikTok. I'm ScreammingNamaste. I'm usually dressing up as Padme, doing some kind of ridiculous punchline for her character. And also talk about Star Wars on TikTok, obviously. So.
Awesome.
Live streaming every night.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. This is actually cutting into it. I live stream every night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. No, this was fun, but just a little bit late tonight. So, yeah, I do a lot of different stuff and talk about tons of random things.
And how about you, Steve? You can be found other than in the moderation section of her lives.
Yeah, other than moderating her lives. Yeah, I also am on, you know, Star Wars TikTok. I'm a bunch of different random content sometimes, but mainly Star Wars. That's, you know, my thing. At ExplosivoSteve on there. I also have like 2 other podcasts that I work on for work here where I work at. The Newbie Brothers, which is a video game podcast, and No Talking During the Movies, which is my movie podcast, and a mouthful. So because it's a long title. But those are my main things. And on terms of just final things to say about, you know, community, this whole episode was based around, you know, the Star Wars community and stuff. And honestly, I don't make a lot of friends very easily, but TikTok has made it a lot easier for me, and I'm super grateful for that. I can't help but be.
Awesome. And I will definitely check out that movie podcast for sure.
Thank you.
Sounds cool. Pep?
You can find me on TikTok, _element7_. Instagram is elementxstyle. My YouTube is youtube.com/element7s. Twitter, element7x spelled out. I was one of the unfortunate ones that could not secure a brand name across multiple platforms, in which I'm sure Chaco will reiterate. But Dyad Moment 7. That's where you can find me, and just my final thoughts to everybody that's watching right now, and to anybody that's thinking about doing content creation in Star Wars or just in any fandom in general. Don't let the negative voices weigh you down. The positive voices is what carries you. And Star Wars is for everybody. It doesn't matter how many movies you've watched, how many comics you've read, how many shows you haven't watched. If you love Star Wars and you're passionate about it, we love you. So may the Force be with you, because we are all the Republic.
Yes. So yeah, definitely remember that. Don't let the negative voices drown you out. But if you are a negative voice, you don't have to be. Stop it. Knock it off. Get some help.
There's literally a non-interested button on TikTok. You can click it, and then you don't have to be horrible. So easy.
There is also another podcast called Dyad in the Force. It comes out every Sunday. It does get posted to Element 7's channel, and it is amazing, and I'm the co-host on it. And there's also some awesome Dyad merch if you guys are ever curious about that. But I probably should have worn mine.
Steve, we gotta get shirts or something.
One day, I said it will be denim jackets, but
this one's getting a little bit chromed out.
Yeah,
but it makes it look like it's like a shiny chrome gold.
Looks great.
Also, there is.
But Marianne and Steve will also make their way at some point onto the podcast, the Dyad.
Absolutely, I would love to.
Additionally, there is another Dyad out there. They're also known as Star Whores, Sawyer and Hannah, Sawyerism and Discount Bo-Katan. And we will actually be making an appearance on their podcast. It might be live tomorrow night, but we shall see. Anyways, thank you once again for joining me. It's always a pleasure. I smile every time I see you guys' content, or I see that one of you guys are lives. I don't always get to jump in, but I love knowing you guys are positive members of the community, just kicking ass, So I appreciate all of you, and may the Force be with you always.